Hey, so there's this comedian named Sam Hyde who posted this video called A Message for Elon, and he has some choice things to say about Elon, Donald Trump, Twitter, Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet-David. Some get good comments, some not so good. It's worth noting that this account here is Wigger on X, W-I-G-G-R, E-R rather. Yeah, but anyway, this has 19 million Twitter views, which we know are counted in funny ways, but it's gaining a lot of attention. A lot of people are talking about it. So I thought rather than putting you through the 46 minutes of it, I'd give you a distillation of it. We'll try to make it as quick as possible. So here's basically how it works. Sam Hyde, he's a comedian. He's kind of known for making comments that attract attention. So know that going in. He really makes this pro-American, anti-corporation argument. He argues that, look, for somebody like Elon Musk to be a first principles free speech guy, he's got to accept the fact that he's making a mistake of banning people on X, removing blue check marks and changing the algorithm to favor arguments that he makes. Sam Hyde uses evidence like Elon Musk saying he will go to war with people who are anti Elon Musk's opinion on, for example, H-1B visas. So this all goes and ties into the H-1B visa debate, because here's really where the debate sits. H-1B visas are essentially an allowance for you to come work in America. However, they're given out by a random lottery, and so maybe you'll get one if you apply for it, maybe not, but you have to be sponsored by a company. The process is pretty challenging, so usually only big corporations have the legal and HR teams to actually pull this sort of work off. Smaller companies usually can't benefit from hiring foreign workers to do jobs that could potentially otherwise be hired in the United States. The argument is that, oh no, there's talent in foreigners, and we need to allow those foreigners in. The counter argument is there are plenty of Americans who can also do those jobs. Corporations just want to be greedy and want to increase their bottom line, because if they could hire 10,000 workers, or, you know, the country lets in about 80 to 90,000 H-1Bs every single year, let's just call it every company lets in or hires 20% of their staff for a 30% discount, well, all of a sudden, if you multiply those two together, you've reduced your labor costs at the company by 6%. It's just an example. For that new hiring class, you've actually increased your bottom line, because when you look at that bottom line, a portion of your workforce is willing to work for less than Americans are willing to work for. And it's not so much that Americans are unwilling or lazy to work for that, but Sam Hyde really derides people like Vivek for arguing that America's too lazy and America doesn't want to work 80-hour work weeks. Sam Hyde takes this angle and says, hey, whoa, don't call Americans lazy. Maybe there's actually a bigger problem. Maybe the problem is that young American men can't even afford a family, and maybe that's why people are getting married later, people are having children later. When people are struggling to afford Domino's, maybe we should start looking at why people are having trouble actually being able to afford things. Is it because people are lazy in America? Because America seems to be the most innovative country in the world? Or is it simply because the system is broken and people are getting saddled in student loan debt, prices are going up, wages aren't going up fast enough, and it's really governments that are enhancing this problem, especially when they're fueled by people, as Sam Hyde says, like Elon Musk, who continue to perpetuate hiring foreigners rather than Americans, making the actual problem worse. And Sam Hyde then says, what makes this even more frustrating is people who then disagree with people like Elon Musk, like Laura Loomer or other people on X, end up getting their check marks removed, basically demonetizing their accounts, because you can't make money on X unless you have a verification badge. I actually saw she was demonetized, or her check was removed because she doxed someone's political donation record, but that's actually public record. So I guess arguments can be made on either side, but she was critical of Elon Musk. Boom, all of a sudden her check mark disappears. And this is what Sam Hyde is talking about. I'm not trying to take sides on this. I'm just trying to give you a breakdown here of what Sam Hyde is saying. Sam Hyde says that Elon Musk and Vivek, you people should be fighting for Americans. No one's perfect. People will forgive you for making mistakes. But don't turn this into intentional racism. Don't turn this into, an argument for corporate profits. Why don't we turn this into a realization that the H-1B program is being scammed, that there are problems with education and debt loads in America, and why don't we take this Team American approach of no longer abusing American workers, deport illegal workers, people who are not here legally, and help American people get ahead. Sam Hyde then ends up criticizing people like Patrick Bet-David, whom he calls people sucking Elon Musk's ass and random podcasters who just suck up to Elon because he has money, and then end up supporting Elon Musk's stance. Because Patrick Bet-David talked about how when he came from Iran, he was willing to work 80-hour weeks, to which Sam Hyde responds and says, nobody's working 80-hour weeks. People may pretend to work 80-hour weeks, but nobody's actually working 80-hour weeks. Maybe they're working 20 to 30 hours and then bragging about how hard they're working. Interesting argument. And I find this obviously harsh from Sam Hyde because, yeah, a lot of people who support Elon Musk also love Patrick Bet-David's content. So you're kind of really hitting a huge demographic here. But it's also the demographic Sam Hyde is specifically speaking to, because Sam Hyde is trying to defend the American male, but American males also significantly support Elon and Patrick Bet-David. So you have this like almost weird chasm that you're creating where people are like, wait, I like them, but the Sam guy, maybe he has a point. He also goes on to complain that artificial intelligence or drone shows that we see are really just the low-hanging fruit of robotics, and artificial intelligence is just adding weights to words and feeding us stuff that makes it look like it's intelligent, but it's really not. So he's kind of anti the big AI movement, and he just sees it as another way for people to play what he calls musical chairs with rich people money and just ripping off the American worker even more. Which, frankly, there are a lot of customer service jobs that are probably going to get sandbagged by artificial intelligence. This is not wrong. It's actually an argument that I've made as well, and I think unemployment will probably never be as low as it has been recently, ever again, because artificial intelligence will consistently push unemployment higher and higher and higher, because companies would just be more resistant to hiring when they can use artificial intelligence for a lot of tasks that can be done well by AI, like customer service. Big business, by the way. Anyway, Sam then makes a bit of a connection here, suggesting that, he points out a couple tweets from Elon. He says that, look, Elon, you're basically telling us that we're either supporting your stance on H-1B visas and immigration, or you're anti-American. And he says this is a false dichotomy. Sam basically makes this connection and says you're either with us or you're against us. But Elon, that's wrong. You shouldn't make people choose like that. You bought Twitter to take that kind of choice away, or that kind of forced choice away from the people who were previously in charge of Twitter, but now you're doing the same thing as them. You're forcing your own belief upon other people by demonetizing your critics, shadow banning them, changing the algorithm, or basically slapping people in the face were the people who originally trusted you in the first place. So Sam Hyde has a pretty big, slap in the face here for Elon. He also says that we need leaders in America who are willing to fight for Americans, and we should be less focused about the market cap of Netflix and Apple and Google, because if we're only focused about competing on a market cap basis, then we'll end up getting replaced by a country like China, who actually focuses on their people, on innovation and growth. Now, that's debatable because China's probably in a really deep recession and most of their people are in poverty and their numbers are probably all flawed and broken anyway. So I kind of take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But he then goes on to say, look, the point is, you shouldn't be calling Americans who disagree with you retards and telling them to go F themselves. Sam Hyde ends up saying that, Elon, you're just a nerd who got lucky, which I do think is somewhat, of a pretty big slam against Elon, because I think he's certainly a lot more than that. But he also says that Vivek's resentment for Americans is really bad, that you shouldn't be slamming American culture as not being good enough, that's a betrayal to the Americans you're supposed to be working for. He ends up by saying, buy Bitcoin. Trump and Joe Rogan are the definitions of our time. They're not perfect people, and it's okay to be critical, but let those criticisms be heard. So ultimately, Elon, the idea that you're either with us or against us is anti-American, and we should all stand up for what an American truly is. Now, he doesn't actually clarify what an American truly is. Does he mean citizens? Does he mean citizens that were born here? Does he mean those that speak English, are citizens, grew up here, and are assimilated with American culture? He doesn't really define this. He just sort of leaves it off by saying, we all know what American is, and you should fight for Americans. And I think really what he's saying here is, if somebody's here right now, and they're not illegal, they're legally here right now, I think what he's saying is, fight for the people that are here. Take care of the people that are suffering in America right now thanks to low wages and high inflation and, quite frankly, just corporate wealth going up and individual wealth staying stagnant because, for example, it's so expensive to buy a house today. Why not fight for those people rather than fighting for more corporate profits? It's an interesting argument from Sam Hyde, and this gives you a full breakdown of the big middle finger to Elon Musk by Sam Hyde. If you have found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out my courses on building your wealth over at meetkevin.com. Trumponomics is on sale today. It is a great course for 2025, building your wealth. Join me in the course member live streams. And folks, we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and good luck.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.